good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Thank you for your interest in our session today. So Dave Miller, I'm the president here at eMAM. We're very excited to present one of our newest and most exciting technology partners, 12 Labs. And from 12 Labs, we have today Travis Couture. He's going to present a little bit about their technology and how it can help you work smarter and faster with all your material. And from my team, Chuck Bulow, our VP Business Development, will share, how that works seamlessly inside the eMAM system. So again, if you have any questions, just put them right in the question box. We'll try to answer them either during or after the presentation. And I'm going to turn it over to the rest of my colleagues, and we can go from there. Thanks so much for your interest.
All right, Travis, why don't you go ahead and go through your slides?
Absolutely, thank you. So hi, my name is Travis Couture. I'm a founding solutions architect at 12 Labs, and I just want to really quickly give you sort of a background and insight into sort of the technology we're working on here at 12 Labs and how that's sort of carrying over. So we build foundation models, so we're an AI research company, and what we mean when we say a video foundation model is if you've ever used something like ChatGPT or something like that, those are what we call large language models, which are foundation models for human language or text. So they're quite good at processing text and to a certain degree things like images and things like that as well too. But video is sort of a different beast. So what we want to be able to do is with a single model, be able to take a diverse sort of content as set as input and then create a broadly applicable output that basically approximates human level capabilities within those particular content domains. So the goal of foundation models really at the end of the day is to approximate human level performance in the domain that they're created. So next slide, please. If we think about sort of how we've traditionally approached video, you might, want to tag or log a moment. This might be done either, manually with loggers, or it may be done sort of in a semi-automatic fashion right now with AI, that previous generation AI that will go through and do like object detection, action recognition, maybe even transcription for the audio and things like that. But the problem with that is if I sort of show you this scene from speed here and I ask you to log this moment, there's probably a million different pieces of text or tags that you could actually log this, just depending on what level of detail you want to actually go down to. And the problem with tags is they're always a predefined or limited list, right? And it's never quite long enough. You never know what you want until you actually want it. So when you box yourself into sort of that limited tag list, you can't always find what it is that you want to find. And the other problem is sort of everybody might log things differently if you're thinking about human loggers, and if the previous gen AI model that you're using doesn't have that ability to detect that object or action or whatever it is in the video that you want to find, then you're sort of out of luck there. So next slide, please. So if we sort of think about a different approach, mainly sort of how humans handle video, what would that sort of look like? So we can do a little bit of an experiment here to sort of experience that in real time. Everybody is sort of running a foundation model or collection of foundation models on their head. So if we go to the next slide here, and I ask you to think of a scene where the main character is presented with a choice of what colored pill to take, right? So maybe a red pill or a blue pill. If you think for a moment, if we go to the next slide, probably the majority of people here, if you've ever seen the movie, you think of The Matrix right away. So, where Morpheus presents Neo with the choice between a red pill and a blue pill. Next slide, please. And so if we think about this, how does this sort of happen, right? So if you really take into account all the movies, TV shows, just real life that you've experienced, which real life is basically video as we perceive it, that's a lot of video to sort of parse through to get to this moment. So next slide, please. So how are you actually able to do that? I just basically gave you a natural language description of the scene and you mapped it right to the scene. Next slide, please. And you don't rewatch every video when you do that, right? That just wouldn't be scalable or possible. So you don't go through, rewatch every movie, every TV show, every memory that you have. You immediately go from that natural language description to the scene without any effort at all. Next slide, please. And so the way that you really do this is you create, let's call it an internalized representation of the matrix in your brain, which may be more commonly known as a memory. Lets you map that description, the natural language description, directly to that memory that you have of the Matrix movie. So if we go to the next slide here. In the world of AI and foundation models, we can loosely map a human memory or a representation of video or something else to something we call embeddings, which are sort of this numerical representation of the content. So when you have a memory, you're not limiting yourself to tags or filters or things like that that describe the scene, because then you would have sort of no way of actually mapping what somebody says to you to the moment that you need to remember. And so what embeddings really do, and this is what memories do as well too, is they capture sort of the general context and semantics of whatever it is that you're trying to remember, whether that be video or something else. So by doing this, you don't limit yourself to a predefined tag space. You're instead transforming the video content into something that allows you to very easily access it and very quickly as well too. So we sort of try and approximate, the human process of retrieving a memory by using embeddings here. So if we go to the next slide. We can really also think about beyond embeddings, because humans aren't just sort of really good at retrieving memories. They can do a lot of other interesting things with them as well too. So if we go to the next slide, we can combine these embeddings or these memories with additional context or input from the outside world or sort of our own brain. So here, once I sort of retrieve that memory of the matrix or that moment of the matrix, now I can apply additional logic to that or go further beyond. I can maybe ask something like, what philosophical choices does each pill represent, and why does Neo choose the red pill? Now I have to take into account that memory I've retrieved, the additional sort of instructions that have been given, plus all the context that I have around those instructions that may be relevant to sort of answering that request. And then we might get some output like this on the right-hand side. And this is just in the form of text, but it can really be anything. So if we go to the next slide, this is sort of what we're trying to do here at 12 Labs from the perspective of video. So being able to take video natively, map it into this embedding space, which is the sort of computer equivalent of memories, and then being able to do things like immensely fast retrieval of that video content from nothing but a natural language description, or like a single image as what you want to search for, things like that at scale. And then from there, we can then go on to generate text output or other types of output from that video that we've retrieved if we need to do additional things with it, all from sort of this perspective of foundation models that are very good at getting across a wide variety of content. Next slide here. So we'll sort of go through an example today of how that integration has sort of been brought into eMAM for the search and retrieval side of things. And then if we go to the next slide, also thinking about how we can generate text output that may be useful in a number of different contexts that we can sort of control and mold the type of text that we're generating out, or things like chapters or highlights, depending on whatever task we have downstream. And remember, this is all sort of with that human level understanding of video content with the context and the semantics, not just limited to things like actions or object recognition. So if we go to the final slide here, if you can sort of imagine doing this on all your video assets, right? So not just the example where we looked up, a single scene from the Matrix, but what if you have like 1 million assets and, it's 100,000 hours? Even a human's not going to remember all of that, but this is sort of where, foundation models can, in a way, go beyond the human's ability to retrieve and have perfect recall. So we can search across all of those video assets simultaneously and in sort of sub-seconds return those results back. And it's not that metadata and tags weren't useful in the past, it's just that they were sort of trying to be applied in a way to fill a gap that they really weren't designed to fill. So metadata and tags are still very useful, and it's not like we're trying to get rid of them, it's that we're sort of trying to combine sort of both of those together to really leverage the best of both worlds, so you can semantically search within your video content across the entire library, and also be able to filter by the metadata tags that are useful, like things like date or geographical location, all these types of things. So with that, I'll sort of turn it over to the eMAM team here, and thank you everybody for your time.
All right, thanks, Travis. So we'll jump back over here. So I'll give you an explanation of exactly what we do and how we integrate then all of the information that 12 Labs is providing us. So we've integrated with both Pegasus and Marengo AI models, Multimodal. So understanding then that leverage of being able to share that media up with 12 Labs, and then providing then that index and those embeds that they create based on the different content that we send up and make available to them. That information then is accessible within the eMAM system, and I'll show that to you during the demonstration here in a second. But being able to then simply through natural language be able to type out, as Travis was mentioning, I won't be as elaborate as what Travis was talking about, but for our demo today, but just keeping things quite simple. But being able to type out a natural language request and then be able to get retrieval back of all the different videos, and then also the different segments of those videos where it's most appropriate. And then also you'll see that there is a percentage that comes back as well of how accurate your request is based on what you've typed out and then what you have within the different assets that have been indexed by 12 Labs. So on the Pegasus side, as Travis was mentioning about more of the detailed information about what you're searching for. So in this case here, I was searching for churches in Italy and so on. And then it basically gives me a description of the content that was found in each of the videos. And then being able to then take that, analyze it, and then be able to then use it as a subclip or marker within the video. And then of course, then at that point, being able to edit that content. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump over to eMAM and get rid of webinar there. So within eMAM, we have a way in which you can type out then that natural language as far as like what you're searching for. So this is in advanced search, and being able to then go in and type out a phrase like churches in Italy, for example. And once I do the search through Marengo, the system then looks up into all the index files that we have that have been indexed by 12 Labs. And so then they're able to then feed back the results back to us. So these are all the different videos that have that information or possibly that information, and then we'll get into the details here. But the process is that what we do is we ingest the media into the eMAM system. That's the first process. And the second process is that we then will go up and then create then an index for 12 Labs. So we then send a command to 12 Labs that this is the information that's available to us, the media that's available, and we want you, 12 Labs, to process that media and then be able to create those embeds and indexing the media and so on. Now through that media, that collects all those embeds and stores it up into 12 Labs. So that's where the information is currently. So when we do go in and create that advanced search and that federated search here and type out that phrase, and then we do the search here, the results happen here. And as you click on that video, then through 12 Labs, then we're able to then view their indexed media, the indexed media here. And then it basically gives us all of the subclipping of each of those sections of that media that has, say in this case here, churches in Italy. So it found my video here. Here are all the different churches. And the cool thing about this is, first off, it'll give you the percentage of accuracy here. And then I can also click on this and then be able to create all these different subclips. And through these subclips with the time code related to the original content, I then can save that subclip within eMAM here. And with that, then the information is now stored. Now, I can go ahead and start typing out more information if I'd like and be able to add that. Like I've gone in and actually taken some information that 12 Labs provided me, typed out that information and then put it in here as information about the subclip. I also can add more metadata associated with the subclip. In this case here, I don't have a fields available for me, but I can actually store more metadata that 12 Labs has provided me within the connection here. So again, this information here is actually up in 12 Labs, and we're accessing that through internet, being able to access that information. You also have the ability to add markers as well. So I can go in and start adding up as many markers with any kind of description that I'd like. I could add that in here as well, and then save that information. This information now is actually stored inside of eMAM, and you can search on all of the information that 12 Labs has provided us. You still have the ability to go back into 12 Labs and then be able to access that indexing and be able to search off that and find different things. But once you find the information, you can bring it over to subclips and markers, and then of course it is searchable there. We also have the ability to use the Pegasus model. And under Pegasus, you can actually go in and with this, be able to then go in based on, again, phrases or natural language searches. I could go in and have Pegasus actually give me highlights, summaries, and chapters based on, say, a phrase that you type in here. And again, it gives me back more information about, like, say, this church here. And with that, I can go in and then add a subclip or add a marker to that. So subclip and markers here. I can add that to the eMAM system and then, be able to then search off this information. But once again, this is actually stored up into the 12 Labs database, so the index. So of all these embeds and so on. But the nice thing about it is it finds the asset, goes in and finds what you're looking for specifically, and then you have these time codes with markers and with subclips, but you also have the ability to go in and adjust that time code as well. So that is also possible, to be able to go in and adjust the time code, and then again, type in any kind of information in here that you want to store as well. Now, the other cool thing that we have built in is that information with Pegasus is also built into the Adobe Premiere panel. So editors can go in and look up media that's been indexed by 12 Labs, and the embeds have been created and so on. They then can go in, select that asset, and then go out and again, type in some kind of natural language information or sentence and so on, and then go ahead and generate that. This will then, 12 Labs will then provide you with the different subclips that they feel are adequate, as far as like what you're typing out here. You also have the ability to go in and play this, but you'll notice that once again, all the markers that were saved inside of eMAM do travel also over to Adobe Premiere as well. So if somebody is logging and looking for information based on certain searches and so on and collecting information, they can go ahead and add those markers. Those will transfer over. But within here, you also have the ability to go in and take that information here, this subclip that's been created, say based on this information right here in this church, I can then go ahead and just drop that right onto the timeline. And so with that information, that's what I like. I played it, I like it, and then of course I can also drop this in onto the timeline. So again, with the Pegasus and Marengo capabilities with 12 Labs, you have the ability to go in and tag and log all of your media based on all the information 12 Labs is providing, and then be able to use that within the editors as well. So quite nice there as well. All right, so I think we're going to go back to questions. So let me do that real quick. So if we do have any questions and so on, we can kind of go through and talk about that as well. Dave, any questions that came across?
Sure. So one is how long to process. I take that to be in terms of 12 Labs. From eMAM perspective, we send it to a transcoder to make a proxy, but how long does 12 Labs take to process media?
Maybe that's for Travis.
Yeah. Oh. We lost Travis, or if he's on mute. Whoops. We lost Travis. Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So most of the samples that I did, they were within minutes. I went ahead and with the button there that we created for our workflow, I sent that up to 12 Labs. It's basically sending a link to where the media is, and then coming back with the information that has been processed, and then I can generate the Pegasus or Marengo options there, and then be able to search off that. And the indexing is quite quick. Yep. Quite
Okay.
quick.
And Marinder, if there's anything to add, let us know. And then in terms of business model.
Yeah, so the eMAM license and the eMAM AI plugin, those are two things that you would get from eMAM. So we have a standard license with the eMAM system, depending on the features you need. The plugin for AI is a separate license you buy from eMAM, and add those two together. And then the 12 Labs account and charges and so on based on the AI processing, that's actually separate from the eMAM license. You can also do it by kind of a monthly thing and then by processing media. I believe you also have the ability to put a 12 Lab system on site, buying out a certain amount of processing that you have, and I believe you can also add that to a local system. Now, the one thing about 12 Labs and eMAM working together, the initial indexing of the media, you do have to have ports open to actually then process and index the media. So that is required. And then of course, an internet connection after it's been indexed to be able to then type out your phrases and then do your searching.
Okay. And let's see, I think we answered most of the other questions. Let us know if you want a copy of the slide deck or a copy of today's session or recording. And obviously, if you want any information about either one of the systems, you can email us back, or there's the websites right below. And let's see if there's any other questions we didn't answer today. If not, thanks everybody for your interest. We'd love you to, test the system for yourself, see how it works on your use cases. We're very excited about, a brand new way of making sense of all that media you have. Thanks so much for your time today. Have a great day.